Time to go when you look within. Wisdom moving through the dark like a spark in a sleepless mind. Go within and breathe deep. Feel the power you're meant to find. You walk where the water bends, laughing to choose. Soft path where the center opens. You're learning how to lose. I count every step you take.
Yes.
You count every step I miss.
Time to go.
Two ways to the same wild garden. Me gently in a silent kiss.
Yes, I'm down to go.
Go within and breathe deep. There's a river under your skin. Every question you keep turns to gold when you look within. Wisdom moving through the dark like a spark in a sleepless mind. Go within and breathe deep. Feel the power you're meant to find. Name on till the naming falls away. Form on till the emptiness can say. You and I, we disappear. Just a pulse in a boundless sea. Pray that never needs a word. Just a breath breathing you and me. Go in and breathe deep. There's a river under your skin. Every secret you keep. It's okay, you can walk back in. Wisdom moving through the dark like a spark in a sleepless mind. Going in and breathe deep. Feel the power you're meant to find. Going in and breathe Ink in the morning sky, lines that you can't quite read. All signs on a new horizon, pointing back to me. Circle on the wooden floor, candles in a quiet room. I trace every breath I'm taking, like letters in a living room. Go within and breathe deep. There's a rift under your skin. Every question you keep turns to gold when you look within. Wish you're moving through the dark like a spark in a sleepless night. Go within and breathe deep. Feel the power you're meant to find.
Oh, really? Where'd you get your intel? They just killed 80 senior leaders in a strike. Dummies all met. They blew them all up a second time. They've taken out the entire leadership. Lose? You call that losing? Has that happened anywhere else? Nope. They're fucking getting obliterated.
beasts emerge as the gods withdraw. A storm of silence, a broken law. Reborn on the heart. On the neon skies where the starlight hums, shadows whisper truths as the bassline drums. Your will is fire, unchained, untamed. No path is written, your soul is blamed. Thou hast no right but to do thy will. Feel the stars, let the silence fill your will. Our place is alive, it's still. Delivered from the lust of the thrill. Echo shadow glass where the circuits glow. The clock ticks slow, but it doesn't show. No purpose. Just a beat and sync. Every way perfect. On the edge, on the brink. No chains, no bars. Just a void to fill. Every through a vision to John. So if we want to stay about speak about the reliability, we need to speak about it. Was it an event or someone claimed this?
Well, listen, here's the point that I'm making, right? I don't want to bring this to the Quran, but fundamentally, the Quran makes the same type of claims that can't be verified, right? So again, if you want to take that criticism, that's fine. We're going to stick to the Bible. I'm just saying, just so you understand in this conversation, that kind of response that you've given me, I'm not going to take it that seriously because your Quran suffers from the same types of material, like the angel in the cave appearance, right? Again, we can go back and forth on that. Let's use arguments that we both can be consistent on.
No, I think Jaco, we're not using the same thing because Prophet Muhammad exists and Jesus existed. Both of them existed, but we have two parts of Christianity or two
She's simply telling you that we have. She's simply trying to tell you there is a difference between the dream and the narration about a real event, a real actual event. That's it. And I think that we all agree on that.
But what I'm saying is, right, the same claims made against the New Testament corpus can be made against the Gospel.
You can make right? any. You can make
so
any.
Let's say
we're objective. We're objective.
Guys, hold on.
Draco, you like speaking for some time and you don't listen to the people who are talking. You don't listen.
You talk too much. I'm sorry.
You talk too much and you don't listen.
No, you talk too much.
Because there's text. Let's talk about what we can be certain about. Let's talk about what we can be certain
any argument. Draco, it's about being objective. If you want to use any argument against the Quran, just use it. We are objective here. We're not biased. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We are trying to
we're talking about how one understands what document from antiquity has historicity or not. That's where we're at. We're on history now. Lana wants to go to exegesis all of a sudden. She didn't want to engage with it earlier. We're on history.
No, I didn't. Hold a second, Draco. No, guys, I didn't want to respond because that was my first time hearing this verse and I'm searching it. No. I didn't, so I need to study it and search about it more. That's not because I didn't want to engage. But hold a second, I want to say something about the verse that I mentioned that you, Muhammad in the cave and the story of Jibril or whatever the angel. We have a different idea. We say Muhammad is a prophet who have a revelation from God, but John isn't a prophet nor Paul to have a revelation from Jesus through a vision. So when we're asking to have a reliability, no, it's not our claim.
We don't believe only prophets have revelations. That is, you bringing your Islamic thing on the Bible.
No, actually, revelation is with the prophets.
Hold on 1 second. It's very simple. All I have to do right now is say, listen, I appreciate that you responded that way. All I'm going to say to you in response is, look, I deny your presupposition and your assumption on whether a prophet or not. That's irrelevant to me because the Bible says that there are prophets, literally prophets, who can prophesy the future but can lead you after other gods. So again, this is irrelevant to me from my fundamental scriptures that I believe in, right? So again, I just deny this response from you. Because for me, it's not meaningful, and it doesn't have any power, and it has no explanatory weight either, right?
Yeah. So my point is,
very well, because you guys know very well that there could be, even as a Muslim, there can be somebody that appears and does great signs and wonders and prophesies, but then they lead you after another God that's not Allah. You would say it doesn't matter that they have the miracles. It doesn't matter that they're prophesying. They're contradicting the Prophet Muhammad and Allah. So again, this is a non-argument, Lance. I'm telling you, it's irrelevant.
we don't have this, Draco, because we don't have prophecies. We don't have prophecies. We don't have the same concept that you have in your book. No, we don't have prophecies.
This isn't a hadith. What are you talking about?
No. This is good. This is good that he admitted this. Actually, we need for every book, even including the Quran, to prove the basis of why do we consider them an authority. Like you cannot just say, okay,
that is not Draco's point.
Draco, just listen. Okay, just listen. Yeah, we have to show why the Quran is reliable regarding something, the same way that we speak why the Bible is reliable regarding another thing. You cannot just say, okay, this is my belief or this is my doctrine that prophets can lead people to disbelief, for example, or idolatry or polytheism or whatever. Okay, you have to prove why I should take this as authority. This is something that should not be taken for granted. I will do. I have it written.
And take it to other places. Like, can we get back to historicity now?
I'm telling you, I'm objecting as much as you can.
Okay,
let's stay on. Just leave this about wisdom and just focus on the substance. Draco, I'm a type of guy who, if he discovered that Islam is wrong, I would say, okay, I'm leaving Islam. It's very easy. Don't say, okay, if you did that, I will do this to the Quran. Habibi, just do it. Just do it. It's really easy. I'm trying to be as much objective as I can. This is neutrality. This is me.
Please, for the love, let us continue, man. These are all times
to keep it down. Continue now. I'm making a claim that the Gospels. Okay,
brother, do you have me blocked?
Yeah, I have you blocked.
Why? Wait. Okay, that's it. Well, wait. Listen, Ahi, let me tell you something. If he has me, I can't go talk to him, which I'm cool, but I should allow him to talk to me. But why is that?
Because you're a Christian.
So okay, because I'm a Christian, I have to be.
You don't read the body kind.
You want to know something? I used to be like that.
The wrongs, like the Apostle Paul.
I'm trying my best, and I've been this way, but they just take advantage. So I've been.
Yeah, but dude, you're supposed to be a light on a hill, Megatron. Like, dude, come on now.
I just want to say something, Metron. He says that you cursed the prophet before. That's why he blocked you. And hold a second. Yeah. Hold a second. I am the one who told him, "Can you come to the voice room that I am in?"
Oh, sorry about that. Well, tell him to unblock me. He says listen, Lana.
Like the conversation.
Lana, no, because you know what they're doing, Lana? They're lying. Because not once have you been in here and I've done that.
We've been people
up for a long time. We say something, but he's still willing to come in here because you're in here? That doesn't make any sense.
No, because
it's got to be lying.
Because I think he knows he reads the Bible more than me, and I prefer to speak about Islam more, not about other books. So I told him to come and join the stage. Not because of anything.
My apology. All you have to do is just unblock. Just tell him to unblock us. Just tell him yeah, of course. I think it's better because that guy, there's no reason for him to be in here if he has me blocked. Lana. I'm not afraid to make you mad.
Lana, can I ask you another question, Lana? If that's okay with you? If not, then it's fine.
Sure. About what?
What'd you say? You
said you know more about the Quran, right?
Yeah, inshallah. I hope so.
Inshallah. Go ahead, Draco, and then I'll ask later.
Is it okay if I ask you a question? Just your opinion?
Yeah, but not about your Bible. About my religion, maybe.
Okay. Well, I'll make a claim, and then you can go research it on your own. Is that right?
Okay.
Okay. So we were talking about the divinity of Christ earlier, right? And your response was, well, kind of what the other brother was talking about, the four Gospels, the three Synoptics, John, different language from John, et cetera, right? Let me ask you a question. What would you say if Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the epistles of Paul, 1st, 2nd Peter, James, Revelation, etc., the entire corpus of the New Testament, let's say you believed, okay, well, there are some truth in there, and the truth that I can ascertain in this is what's consistent. Is that reasonable for you? Would you accept things in the New Testament that's consistently throughout, if it appears over and over and over and over and over and over again as true?
Look, Draco, to be honest, I newly started to read the Bible, and I had no idea about Christianity. I thought that, but I don't believe in Jesus as a God, not because of your Bible isn't consistent with each other, and I don't know how it was consistent or not. I don't believe in Jesus as a God because I don't believe a human can be a God.
Well, we're going to move away from Jesus being God in this particular conversation. You okay with that?
You speak about what? So if it's not about his divinity.
Well, no, I just want to understand how you as an individual ascertains what's legitimate in the New Testament and what isn't. And I'm asking you a very specific question. Would you take legitimacy in the New Testament as evidence when you see consistent themes appearing over and over and over? It's not ambiguous, it's spoken matter-of-factly, and it's spoken throughout the entire corpus. Would that kind of examination, if you came to that as the realization, would that give credence to its reliability as something that seems to be a matter of fact? That out of all the discrepancies in the New Testament, all the verses that can be debated, if you can find a particular theme that appears over and over and over and over and over again, and they're unambiguous and they're not within doubt, would you consider that to be a reliable part and trustworthy part and true part of the New Testament?
To be honest, I don't know. I don't think that Jesus is a God. Man is a God. But if you're speaking, you're speaking about the stories like matches each other, or you have many eyewitnesses, or
He's not talking about Jesus being God. He's not talking about
that. I'm saying, like, listen, I'm talking about historicity. How can one ascertain what's historical or not? Would not one criteria be multiple sources saying the exact same thing identically, as a matter of fact, would lead to that being evidence of high credibility? Or to you, that doesn't do anything?
To me, I prefer something called mutawatir, which is we have many eyewitnesses. For example, we can have 4 opinions or 5 opinions or whatever, but everyone has its own opinion. But for me, like, we have to have many eyewitnesses for this event, so I can believe or think it's a reliable.
What if all the opinions are universal on specific details?
No, I don't care if it's about universal or not, because that's opinion to authority.
What Draco is speaking of, but Draco, kind of what you are speaking of is Tawatir, because Tawatir is, or Mutawatir, is when a particular instance has been reported by a multitude of people, and the Sunni scholars do not have a particular amount of people or how many times something has to be reported in order for it to be mutawatir. So there's no, it's not like, oh, well, it has to be 10 different narrations. So if the 4 gospels actually give the same account of a story, you could say that that's mutawatir.
Do you agree with that?
No, I don't agree with this, because first of all, your first manuscript was 300 years later, and it's not mutawatir. It has a long time than you started writing your books. If it's from that's the difference. Not only does not Ismail, we have the minimum number of mutawatir. When God said you have to have 4 eyewitnesses, it started from here. And we have many hadiths that maybe have 62 of the companions of the Prophet Muhammad listen to the Prophet saying this hadith. For example, I only take mutawatir hadith. I don't take non-mutawatir hadith.
But again, though, here's the reason why I'm asking you this question, right, is because I can just be completely devil's advocate and literally say that, listen, what you have is in a controlled environment, and the companions, they're all in on it. They're all coming together. They're all formulating what he said. They're talking about it. They're coming to agreements, maybe disagreements. I'm saying that I could just sit here and say, look, what you have isn't that much convincing either. I don't know these individuals. You're saying that they're trustworthy. Why? Because of the tradition you appeal to itself. Your whole argument for the trustworthiness is circular, right? You appeal to the same community. No, you appeal to the very same community to validate the community. That's fundamentally what you do. That's what everybody does when it comes to history. You understand that, right?
No, actually, Draco, you have to understand there's a sense of possibility we have, and if we have many numbers of people who don't disagree, that's a sign. Then the percentage of this saying being said is true. It's not about the opinions. For example, you don't have a chain of narration. Hold a second. I want to finish my sentence. Okay. You don't have a chain of narrations, and you believe in Luke, Mark, Matthew, even you don't know anything, and your manuscript was 300 years later, and you think it's reliable. I didn't say anything.
That's not true.
No, but here's the point. What you just said, there are multiple witnesses, multiple documents, multiple sayings that harmonize on one particular thing unanimously. What did you say? Then therefore is most probably true, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So now I'm going to hold you to be very, very consistent. What do you do when Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, the epistles of Paul, 1st, 2nd Peter, James, Revelation, the entire New Testament that we have, all of them say one common theme?
What process slave labor. But fundamentally, it's a pyramid scheme. Because everybody looks at the few people at the top, they all want to make it to the top. They don't realize that the only thing holding up the top is this contest to become.
why they're trying so hard to figure out ways to stop this mass
I think we
pollution.
should use the oceans to make energy. Why can't we? That's a huge amount of mass, right? Mass is energy. It's
True.
a huge amount of moving mass. Just fucking put a propeller in there and hook it up to an electric line, right?
Almost like make one big
wind
electric
turbines, have water turbines. What?
I said you're just like make one big ass electric grid, you know? I mean, but in a way you're right though, because if we use the ocean for electrical sources.
Is the room boring? Wait, Anthony has you blocked?
Yes, of course. As he should have.
Give me the sign of the open night, a riddle of shadows where whispers lie, the thorny thigh, the maddening cry. Open, open. I am awake, the serpent shakes. The eagle strikes with its jagged claw. The beasts emerge as the gods withdraw. A storm of silence, a broken law. I am born to death, reborn on the hunt. On the neon skies where the starlight hums, shadows whisper truths as the bassline drums. Delambarat! Printing Shabbat! By the mystical union of fairy and fawn, I dance in the shadows from dusk until dawn. Spoken the whispers that drift through the trees, unbroken the vow carried soft
I'll shit my pants!
Union of hearts left unsown. The listless resists its tumultuous tone. Shadows dance.
Thrill with lissome lust of light. Oh man, my man, come careering out of the night of Pan, I open, come over the sea, from Sicily and from Arcady. Roaming his Bacchus with fawns and bards and nymphs and satyrs for thy guards on a milk-white ass. Come o'er the sea to me. To me.
The great way is not difficult for those who have no preferences. When love and hate are but absent, heaven becomes clear and undisguised. The smallest distinction, however, and heaven
I am Pan.
The cup holds water, but the shape is air. What's a path if no one's walking there? A mirror reflects, yet it's hollow inside. The world turns outward, but it spins from the mind.
heaven and earth do not act from the impulse to be benevolent. They deal with all things as the dogs of grass are dealt with. The sages do not act from any wish to be benevolent. They deal with the people as the dogs of grass are dealt with. May not the space between heaven and earth be compared to a pillow. 'Tis empty, yet it loses not its power. 'Tis moved again and sends forth ere the more much speech to a swift exhaustion. Let we see your inner being guard and keep this
bomb, they would have enough money to fucking buy it. It's my opinion that if the Iranians wanted to buy a nuclear bomb, they would have enough money to fuck. Iraq and Afghanistan were pushovers. The Iranians have been preparing for this, and the Russians are backing them. The Chinese are backing them. America has opened a massive wound. This is a huge wound, and Americans are sleeping. They have no idea. Most of Americans have no idea that Donald Trump has even declared war without congressional approval. For Christ's sake, it's a coup d'etat. This is the apocalypse. This is World War III. Iraq and Afghanistan were pushovers. Jealous of you? The fucking COVID, you fucking wisdom bitch. I know about the COVIDians now. And when you come out here and you want to propagandize the COVIDians and talk shit about America, nigga, I'm gonna talk shit about you, nigga. So don't you talk shit about my motherfucking Americans. Because them COVIDians motherfuckers were some motherfuckers. They were fucking around and and then found out and who they were. It's 2026, nigga. That's a good one. Ain't gonna go nowhere. They're buying their spaces, so we're going to keep pushing on Epstein. I'm going to be doing a piece this week tying in Epstein and Iran, and I think that's going to get a lot of traction because it's not something I've seen somebody talk about. They're buying their spaces. So I'm John Kitover, and this is the John Kitover News Network with breaking news. Intense clashes have erupted tonight between you. I'm John Kitover, and this is the John Kitover. Good evening, I'm John Kitover, and this is in Peoria tonight at Grant.
Voters head to the polls Tuesday, March 17th for the congressional election. Former Marine John Kitover is on the ballot and asking for your support.
I'm John Kitover. I'm running for Congress.
Voters head to
And the most glorious prophet of Islam there's ever been. Because I'm being very serious too. They're killing us already. They're killing Americans now. They killed 3 Americans already. They killed 3 Americans in Austin. They're fucking terrorists. We gotta blow them all up. Send them straight to Allah. And then we can declare that Donald John Trump is the new and the last and the greatest and the most glorious prophet of Islam there's ever been. Because Muhammad Abdul, obviously, is not the last and the greatest prophet of Islam. It's Donald John Trump. And it's about time that the Muslims of this world begin to accept DJT as the last, the greatest, and the most glorious of all prophets of all time, Rabbana Shalom.
Good evening, everyone. I'm just what they do is also the dial.
I heard you got engaged.
Did you?
Thought we'd have revolution, but it turns out that there are hundreds of billions of dollars a year being billed. They just want to get their pension payment and get their monthly salary. And don't forget, healthcare is a human right. He did it with an F-16 and put into an oil barrel to put into a storage container. We did it with an F-16. Remember, I actually got a room up and called They're All Evil. Both suck.
Amy, security for and within our
Florida has its own. It's this one because I like what they're estimating on the voting on that. But there's definitely D's that have crossed over. And that this companies
could stop Trump from this outbreak.
This is like before. Okay. Be kicked out. I am not. If she
for most people, but since you're an actual human being who's authentic, like a bird will prefer to watch that snake die. Just poor freak. I was like pleasantly surprised that you. Are you bougie? Bougie, touche, touche, bougie? But you still don't have as nice as a house as the Chinaman on your corner, right? They both.
Ignorance. I don't know. That's like a very preschool kind of lexicon.
You think it's pedestrian?
Okay, yeah.
Are you bougie? A big, fat, disgusting pig who's got a huge herpes sore right here in the center of his lip. He's a fat blob. He runs a stupid fucking insignificant total lie. And they just repeated the lie on the internet. And it's unfortunate that you killed my vision, known as the environment, into a lens and compression. And you are super stimulating, but you are a fool. And it's unfortunate that you getting Dima to us that post you sent us, and also tell us where you saw it or heard about it and what you think about it, because I'm also interested in getting Dima's will or love or lobby to you. Will. So what is the will?
Act for yourself.
Think and act for yourself, not for the collective we.
That's right.
Okay, so we the people does not exist, just the self exists. I think Bima's going to disagree with you on that. Bima can
Just to think.
Is it French?
English. It's A.
Wait, your first language is English? And Freak Next Goon Coin crude about the type of oil that Iran produces. It's that juicy, sweet crude that
Over to our friend Danny.
.com, go to John 4. That's where the number. I listen to you, but still record you for his monologue for 10 minutes about whatever the fuck he wants to talk about, and then he introduces my friend Marshall Rankin, and then Marshall Rankin goes, yeah. I'm in a car right now. I'm driving my friend's goat to his farm. Yeah. Go ahead, Zed. Go ahead, my friend. Go ahead, Aziz. Go ahead, Danny. I have landed my plane.
All right, Jesus Christ.
A buttercup. And we are discussing Iran and the war. See, this is what people do to people on this app, what I just did to you. This is what Gary Baumgarten and critical thinking does to people. Is a cell phone, just in the same way that people are saying, what is a woman? You know, because if you think about a woman versus a cell phone, a woman is actually far more complicated than even this silicon chip, mass manufactured commercial, communication technology device. A woman is far more complicated, and it took hundreds of millions of years to produce a woman. But it only took us, X amount of years to produce this phone. I mean, so Sheikh, what is a cell phone? And then what is a woman?
The way you all think it's a device, but it's actually an experience.
It doesn't really anger that might be, and in the Church of Buttercup, hey, this is not a joke either. Guess what I did with Cloudera? And
I guess
they're doing $1 billion a year in revenue. That's not that amazing. Fucking YouTube does that in like a day. Strikes against the IRGC. Rabboni Shalom, what a miracle. What a miracle! It's almost St. Patty's Day, and we've already won the war! The dozens of jets that they're using to conduct coordinated and targeted airstrikes against the IRGC. Rabboni Shalom, what a miracle. Well, Haman, got what was coming to him. I mean, I guess, who's Haman number 10, though? Like, who's going to replace the Ayatollah? Is it his conditioned son? Who's going to... Dr. Doom. Oh! Hail victory!
So no layover flights.
Did you see the news? The Ayatollah's been confirmed dead. They have a photo of his body.
Yeah, I've been seeing on
on social media.
U.S. personnel in the region. This not to protect all of us. You will face certain death. Take over your government. It will be yours to take. This will be probably
It's all lies. Don't waste a motherfucking second of your essence, of your life.
it's my ASMR comedy. Oh man, that shit's funny.
They wouldn't have a deal.
I have it, right? It'd be interesting to see how many females. Speaker, we have waited months for transparency. The Department of Justice has stonewalled. Speaker, in my office, everyone's welcome. As your councilman, I work for seniors, kids, and even the guy who keeps parking in front of my driveway. I keep every concern right here. Oh, hold that thought. This is what happens when people. My drive. Midnight Tuesday, the transfer happened. Midnight Tuesday, the transfer happens under the bridge. Right. No report.
Believe it, 1 trillion jelly beans. My dentist is gonna need a vacation.
That's just the first billion, John. Your apartment isn't big enough.
Until the next millennium.
I swear I only borrowed a handful. The rest must have followed me home. Come on, fellas, this AI video creator promised to make us rich. And cast us in every scene. I like the sound of that.
Whoa, look at that cash.
Cha-ching!
Wait, it's speeding up.
What is that? Just somebody like dragging a fucking can down the
Whoa,
road?
look at that cash.
Cha-ching! I'm John. Good evening. 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 I'm John. I'm
Okay, we're going to read what's called a book. Some people claim that you can read without actually touching a book. Some people prefer digitally nowadays, synthetically. They want to touch a screen, scroll a screen, but we have what's called physical books for the sake of putting them back on the screen so you can hear them. But this is the book club with your favorite friend, politician, magician, musician, actor, filmmaker, director, producer, John Zachary Kitover. This is the John Kitover, not Clitover, not Killover, but Kitover. Kitove. Here we go. This is the John Kitover Book Club. Welcome, everybody. People are just flying into the room. This is the John Kitover Book Club. Ribono Shalom. All right, everybody. As soon as you try to read a book, somebody wants to talk to you. Isn't that funny how that works? The John Kitover Book Club. Ribono Shalom. Here we go. Okay. Welcome to the John Kitover Book Club. This is where we like to read what's called a book. Some people have forgotten what these are. And this is all for YouTube. We'll be chopping this up into 1-minute clips. This is page 142. So take the deepest breath of the day. Here, see what John Huss says in his letter, the 43rd letter towards the end. A doctor of theology said to me, in everything I should submit myself to the council. Everything would then be good and lawful for me. He added, if the council said that you had only one eye, although you have two, it would be still necessary to admit that the council was not wrong. Were the whole world, I replied, to affirm such a thing, so long as I had the use of my reason, I should not be able to agree without wounding my conscience. I will say to you, like John Huss, before there was a church and its councils, there were truth and reason. Pardon me if I interrupt, my dear sir. You were a Catholic at one time. You are no longer so. Consciences are free. I shall merely submit to you that the institution of the hierarchical infallibility in matters of dogma is reasonable in quite another sense, and far more incontestably true than all the miracles of the world. Besides, what sacrifices ought one not to make in order to preserve peace? Believe me, John Huss would have been a greater man if he had sacrificed one of his eyes to universal concord, rather than deluge Europe with blood. Oh, sir, let the church decide when she will that I have but one eye. I only ask her one favor. It is to tell me in which eye I am blind, in order that I may close it and look with the other with an irreproachable orthodoxy. I admit that I am not orthodox in your fashion. I perceive that clearly. But let us come to the miracles. You have then seen, touched, felt, tasted them, but come, putting exaltation on one side. Please give me a thoroughly detailed and circumstantial account of the affair, and above all, evident proof of miracle. Am I indiscreet in asking you that? Not the least in the world, but which shall I choose? There are so many. This is the musical portion of the John Kitover Book Club. It helps clean out the cobwebs. Okay, this is part 2. Here we go. Let me think, added Mr. Madrol. After a moment's reflection and with a slight trembling in the voice, the prophet is in London, and we are here. Well, if you only make a mental request to the prophet to send you immediately the communion, and if in a place designated by you, in your own house, in a cloth, or in a book, you found a host on your return, what would you say? I should declare the fact inexplicable by ordinary critical rules. "Oh, well, sir," cried Mr. Madrol triumphantly, "there is a thing that often happens to me whenever I wish, that is to say, whenever I am prepared and hope humbly to be worthy of it. Yes, sir, I find the host when I ask for it. I find it real and palpable, but often ornamented with little hearts, little miraculous hearts which one might think had been painted by Raphael." Eliphas Levi, who felt ill at ease in discussing facts with which there was mingled a sort of profanation of the most holy things, then took his leave of the one-time Catholic writer and went out meditating on the strange influence of this Vintras, who had so overthrown that old belief and turned the old savant's head. Some days afterward, the Kabbalist Eliphas was awakened very early in the morning by an unknown visitor. It was a man with white hair, entirely clothed in black. His physiognomy, that of an extremely devout priest. His whole air, in short, was entirely worthy of respect. The ecclesiastic was furnished with a letter of recommendation conceived in these terms: "Dear master, this is to introduce to you an old savant who wants to gabble Hebrew sorcery with you. Receive him like myself. I mean, as I myself received him, by getting rid of him in the best way you can. Entirely yours, in the sacrosanct Kabbalah, ad des Baroles." "Reverend sir," said Eliphas, smiling after having read the letter, "I am entirely at your service, and can refuse nothing to the friend who writes to me. You have then seen my excellent disciple, des Baroles?" "Yes, sir. I found in him a very amiable and very learned man. I think both you and him worthy of the truth, which has been lately revealed by astonishing miracles, and the positive revelations of the Archangel Saint Michael. Sir, you do us honor. Has then the good Des Baroles astonished you by his science?" "Oh, certainly he possesses in a very remarkable degree the secrets of chiromancy. By merely inspecting my hand, he taught me nearly the whole history of my life." "He is quite capable of that. But did he enter into the smallest details?" "Sufficiently, sir, to convince me of his extraordinary power." "Did he tell you that you were once the vicar of Mont Louis in the diocese of Tours, that you are the most zealous disciple of the ecstatic Eugene Vintras, and that your name is Chavot?" "Why did I buy these if I don't even use them?" Battery is at 100%. Prepare for the recording. Hey, Meta, start recording. It was a veritable thunderbolt. At each of these three phrases, the old priest jumped in his chair. When he heard his name, he turned pale and rose as if a spring had been released. "You are, then, really a magician?" he cried. "Chavot is certainly my name, but it is not that which I bear. I call myself La Paratz. I know it, La Paratz is the name of your mother. You have left a sufficiently enviable position, that of a country vicar, and your charming vicarage, in order to share the troubled existence of a sectary. Serve a great prophet? Sir, I believe perfectly in your good faith. But you will permit me to examine a little the mission in the character of your prophet. Yes, sir. Examination. Full light. The microscope of science. That is all we ask. Come to London, sir, and you will see. The miracles permanently established there. Would you be so kind, sir, as to give me, first of all, some exact and conscientious details with regard to the miracles? Oh, as many as you like. And immediately the old priest began to recount things which the whole world would have found impossible, but which did not even turn an eyelash of the professor of transcendental magic. Okay, we're going to dedicate this song to you, the listener, whoever you are. May this little verse on my Xenon, this is called a Xenon, or a recorder. I think everybody in America was issued these over a period of like 20 years. But nobody ever figured out how to actually play it because people were too busy watching TV. Now you can watch me on YouTube play what's called a recorder, but it's labeled Zen. On Zen. Here we go. Ribbon Shalom. Never had one lesson. Don't know a note from a goat. I don't know a goat from a bloat. I had too much chicken shawarma last night, and then I had Chipotle on top of it. So let's get back to work here. Here we go. This is page 146 of The Secret Key of the Mysteries. One day, Vintros, in an excess of enthusiasm, was preaching before his heterodox altar. 25 persons were present. An empty chalice was upon the altar, a chalice well known to the Abbé Charveau. He brought it himself from his church of Mont Louis, and he was perfectly certain that the sacred vase had neither secret ducts nor double bottom. In order to prove to you, said Vintros, that it is God himself who inspires me, he acquaints me that this chalice will fill itself with drops of his blood, under the appearance of wine, and you will all be able to taste the fruit of the vines of the future, the wine which we shall drink with the Saviour in the kingdom of his Father. Overcome with astonishment and fear, continued the Abbé Charveau, I go up to the altar. I take the chalice. I look at the bottom of it. It was empty. I overturned it in the sight of everyone. Then I returned to kneel at the foot of the altar, holding the chalice between my two hands. Suddenly, there was a slight noise, the noise of a drop of water falling into the chalice from the ceiling. It was distinctly heard, and a drop of wine appeared at the bottom of the vase. Every eye was fixed on me. Then they looked at the ceiling, for our simple chapel was held in a poor room, and the ceiling was neither hole nor fissure. Nothing was seen to fall, and yet the noise of the fall of the drops multiplied. It became more rapid and more frequent, and the wine climbed from the bottom of the chalice towards the brim. When the chalice was full, it bore it slowly around so that all might see. And the prophet dipped his lips into it, and all, one after the other, tasted the miraculous wine. It is in vain to search memory for any delicious taste which would give an idea of it. And what shall I tell you, added the Abbé Charveau, of those miracles of blood which astonish us every day? Thousands of wounded, bleeding hosts are found upon our altars. Sacred stigmata appear to all who wish to see them. The hosts, first white, slowly become marked with characters in hearts and blood. Must one believe that God abandons the holiest objects to the false miracles of the devil? Should not one rather adore and believe that the hour of the supreme and final revelation has arrived? Abbé Charveau, as he thus spoke, had in his voice that sort of nervous trembling that Eliphas Levi had already noticed in the case of Mr. Madrol. The magician shook his head pensively, then suddenly, "Sir," said he to the abbé, "you have upon you one or two of these miraculous hosts. Be good enough to show them to me." "Sir, you have some, I know it. Why should you deny it?" "I do not deny it," said Abbé Charveau, "but you will permit me not to expose the investigations of incredulity, objects of the most sincere and devout belief." "Reverend sir," said Eliphas gravely, "incredulity is the mistrust of an ignorance almost sure to deceive itself. Science is not incredulous. I believe, to begin with, in your own convictions, since you have accepted a life of privation and even of reproach in order to stick to this unhappy belief. Show me then your miraculous hosts, and believe entirely in my respect for the objects of a sincere worship." "Oh, well," said the Abbé Charveau, after another slight hesitation, "I will show them to you." Then he unbuttoned the top of his black waistcoat and drew forth a little reliquary of silver, before which he fell on his knees, with tears in his eyes, prayers on his lips. Eliphas fell on his knees beside him, and the abbé opened the reliquary. There were in the reliquary 3 hosts, one whole, the 2 others almost like paste, and as it were kneaded with blood. The whole host bore in its center a heart in relief on both sides, a clot of blood molded in the form of a heart, which seemed to have been formed in the host itself in an inexplicable manner. The blood could not have been applied from without, for the imbibed coloring matter had left the particles adhering to the exterior surface quite white. The appearance of the phenomenon was the same on both sides. The master of magic was seized with an involuntary trembling. This emotion did not escape the old vicar, who, having once again done adoration and closed his reliquary, drew from his pocket an album and gave it without a word to Eliphas. There were copies of all the bleeding characters which had been observed upon hosts since the beginning of the ecstasies and miracles of Vintras. There were hearts of every kind, and many different sorts of emblems, but 3 especially excited the curiosity of Eliphas to the highest point. "Reverend sir," said he to Charveau, "do you know these 3 signs?" "No," replied the abbé ingenuously, "but the prophet assures us that they are of the highest importance, and that their hidden signification shall soon be made known, that is to say, at the end of the age." "Oh, well, sir," solemnly replied the professor of magic, "even before the end of the age, I will explain them to you. These 3 Kabbalistic signs are the signature of the devil." So what's funny is this book is called The Key of the Mysteries, translated by Aleister Crowley, but this is not a translation of Eliphas Levi by Crowley. This is actually Crowley's writing, and it's about Eliphas Levi. He's using Eliphas as the character in the book, but a lot of this is just all Crowley, which is very funny that they say this. This is really like, you know, this. Anyways, I explained it, I think. I hope you understand. "It is impossible," cried the old priest. "It is the case," replied Eliphas with determination. Now the signs were these. First degree, the star of the microcosm, or the magic pentagram. It is the 5-pointed star of occult masonry, the star with which Agrippa drew the human figure, the head in the upper point, the 4 limbs in the 4 others. The flaming star, which when turned upside down, is the hieroglyphic sign of the goat of black magic, whose head may then be drawn in the star. The 2 horns at the top, the ears to the right and left, the beard at the bottom. It is the sign of antagonism and fatality. It is the goat of lust attacking the heavens with its horns. It is a sign execrated by initiates of a superior rank, even at the Sabbath. Subnote, but if this were on a circular host, how could it be upside down? Second degree, the 2 hermetic serpents. But the heads and tails, instead of coming together in 2 similar semicircles, were turned outwards, and there was no intermediate line representing the caduceus. Above the head of the serpents, one saw the fatal V, the Typhonian fork, the character of hell. To the right and left, the sacred numbers 3 and 7 were relegated to the horizontal line, which represents passive and secondary things. The meaning of the character was then this: antagonism is eternal. God is the strife of fatal forces, which always create through destruction. The things of religion are passive and transitory. Boldness makes use of them. War profits by them. And it is by them that discord is perpetuated. Third degree, finally, the Kabbalistic monogram of Jehovah, the J-O-D, Jod, Yod, and the He, He, but upside down. This is, according to the doctors of occult science, the most frightful of all blasphemies. It signifies, however one may read it, fatality alone exists, God and the spirit are not. Matter is all. Spirit is only a fiction of this matter demented. Form is more than idea, woman more than man, pleasure more than thought, vice more than virtue, the mob more than its chiefs, the children more than their fathers, folly more than reason. That is what was written in the characters of blood upon the pretended miracles, miraculous hosts of Vintras. We affirm upon our honor that the facts cited above are such as we have stated, and that we ourselves saw and explained the characters according to magical science and the true keys of the Kabbalah. The disciple of Vintras also communicated to us the description and design of the pontifical vestments given, said he, by Jesus Christ himself to the pretended prophet during one of his ecstatic trances. Vintras had these vestments made and cloths himself with them in order to perform his miracles. They are red in color. He wears upon his forehead a cross in the form of a lingam, and his pastoral staff is surmounted by a hand, all of whose fingers are closed, except the thumb and the little finger. Now, all that is diabolical in the highest degree, and is not a really wonderful thing, the intuition of the signs of a lost science, for it is transcendental magic, which basing the universe upon the two columns of Hermes and of Solomon, has divided the metaphysical world into two intellectual zones, one white and luminous, enclosing positive ideas, the other black and obscure, containing negative ideas, and which has given to the synthesis of the first the name of God, and to that of the other the name of the devil or of Satan. The sign of the lingam Born upon the forehead is in India the distinguishing mark of the worshippers of Shiva, the destroyer, for that sign being that of the great magical arcanum, which refers to the mystery of universal generation. To bear it on the forehead is to make profession of dogmatic shamelessness. Now, say the Orientals, the day when there is no longer modesty in the world given over to debauch, which is sterile, will end at once for lack of mothers. Modesty is the acceptance of maternity. The hand with the 3 large fingers closed expresses the negation of the ternary and the affirmation of the natural forces alone. The ancient Hierophants, as our learned and witty friend Desbaroles is about to explain in an admirable book, which is at present in the press, had given a complete resume of magical science in the human hand. The forefinger, for them, represented Jupiter, the middle finger, Saturn, the ring finger, Apollo, or the sun. Among the Egyptians, the middle finger was Ops, the forefinger Osiris, and the little finger Horus. The thumb represented the generative force, and the little finger cunning. A hand showing only the thumb and the little finger is equivalent in the sacred hieroglyphic language to the exclusive affirmation of passion and diplomacy. It is the perverted and material translation of that great word of St. Augustine. Love, and do what you will. Compare now this sign with the doctrine of Mr. Madrol. The most imperfect and the most apparently guilty act of love is worth more than the best of prayers. And you will ask yourself, what is that force which, independently of the will, and of the greater or less knowledge of man, for Vintras is a man of no education, formulates its dogmas with signs buried in the rubbish of the ancient world, rediscovers the mysteries of Thebes and of Eleusis, and writes for us the most learned reveries of India with the occult alphabets of Hermes? What is that force? I will tell you. But I have still plenty of other miracles to tell, and this article is like a judicial investigation. We must, before anything else, complete it.
Complete it is like great vacuity, with nothing lacking, nothing in excess. When you grasp and reject, there is no suchness. Do not follow conditions, do not dwell in emptiness, cherishing oneness in the earth. Everything will stop by itself. Rest to stop motion, and rest will move you again. If you are merely now understanding oneness, you will be into ways, excelling beyond you without it, following in weakness, you are always behind it. The more words and thoughts, the more you will go astray. Stop speaking, stop thinking, and there is nothing you cannot understand. Return to the roof and obtain the purport. Following the outcome, you lose the source for a moment. Turn inward and surpass the emptiness of things. Changes that go on in emptiness, all have their cause in ignorance. Do not seek the truth, only abstain from views. Do not dwell in true views. Be careful not to pursue them. The slightest trace of right and wrong, and mind is lost in confusion. One being is the source of the two. However, do not even maintain the one. With one mind there is no rising, then everything is without blame. No blame, no things, no arising, no more. It only excludes picking and choosing. Once you stop loving and hating, it will enlighten itself. Depart for a heaven, and heaven and earth are set apart. If you want it to appear, do not be for or against. To set longing against glory makes the mind sick, not knowing the deep meaning. It is useless to quiet thoughts. Only it is like great vacuity, with nothing lacking, nothing in excess. When you grasp and reject, there is no such ness. Do not
Okay, this is the John Kitover Book Club. I hope you're enjoying this book reading. We're about 46 minutes into it. Rabbana Shalom. Hit that like button and subscribe right now. However, we may be permitted, before proceeding to other accounts, to transcribe here a page from a German Illumine, the work of Ludwig Tieck. If, for example, as an ancient tradition informs us, some of the angels whom God had created fell all too soon, and if these, as they also say, were precisely the most brilliant of the angels, one may very well understand by this fall that they sought a new road, a new form of activity, other occupations, and another life than those orthodox or more passive spirits who remained in the realm assigned to them, and made no use of liberty, the appanage of all of them. The fall was that weight of form which we nowadays call reality, and which is a protest on the part of the individual existence against its reabsorption into the abysses of universal spirit. It is thus that death preserves and reproduces life. It is thus that life is betrothed to death. Do you understand now what Lucifer is? Is it not the very genius of ancient Prometheus, that force which sets in motion the world, life, even movement, and which regulates the course of successive forms? This force, by its resistance, equilibrated the creative principle. It is thus that the Elohim gave birth to the earth, when subsequently men were placed upon the earth by the Lord as intermediate spirits in their enthusiasm, which led them to search the nature in its depths. They gave themselves over to the influence of that proud and powerful genius, and when they were softly ravished away over the precipice of death to find life, then it was that they began to exist in a real and natural manner, as is fit for all creatures. This page needs no commentary, and explains sufficiently the tendencies of what one calls spiritualism or spiritism. It is already a long time since this doctrine, or rather this anti-doctrine, began to work upon the world, to plunge it into universal anarchy. But the law of equilibrium will save us, and already the great movement of reaction has begun. We continue the recital of the phenomena. One day, a workman paid a visit to Eliphas Levi. He was a tall man of some 50 years old, of frank appearance, and speaking in a very reasonable manner. Questioned as to the motive of his visit, he replied, "You ought to know it well enough. I am come to beg, pray you to return to me what I have lost." We must say, to be frank, that Eliphas knew nothing of this visitor, nor of what he might have lost. He accordingly replied, "You think me much more of a sorcerer than I am. I do not know who you are, nor what you seek. Consequently, If you think that I can be useful to you in any way, you must explain yourself and make your request more precise. Oh, well, since you are determined not to understand me, you will at least recognize this, said the stranger, taking from his pocket a little much-used black book. It was the grimoire of Pope Honorius. One word upon this little book so much decried. The grimoire of Honorius is composed of an apocryphal constitution of Honorius II for the evocation and control of the spirits. Then of some superstitious receipts. It was the manual of the bad priests who practiced black magic during the darkest periods of the Middle Ages. You will find their bloody rites, mingled with profanations of the Mass and of the consecrated elements, formula of bewitchment and male, volant and malevolent spells, practices which stupidity alone could credit, or knavery counsel. In fact, it is a book complete of its kind. It has consequently become very rare, and the bibliophile pushes it to very high prices in the public sales. My dear sir, said the workman, sighing, since I was 10 years old, I have not missed once performing the Orson. This book never leaves me, and I comply rigorously with all the prescribed ceremonies. Why then have those who used to visit me abandoned me? Ellie, lama. Stop, said Eliphas. Do not parody the most formidable words that agony ever uttered in this world. Who are the beings who visited you by virtue of this horrible book? Do you know them? Have you promised them anything? Have you signed the pact? No, interrupted the owner of the grimoire. I do not know them, and I have entered into no agreement with them. I only know that among them the chiefs are good, the intermediate rank partly good and partly evil, the inferiors bad, but blindly, and without its being possible for them to do better. He whom I evoked, and who has often appeared to me, belongs to the most elevated hierarchy, for he was good-looking, well-dressed, and always gave me favorable answers. But I have lost a page of my grimoire, the first, the most important, that which bore the autograph of the spirit, and since then he no longer appears when I call him. I am a lost man. I am naked as Job. I have no longer either force or courage. O Master, I conjure you, you who need only say one word, make one sign, and the spirits will obey. Take pity upon me, and restore to me what I have lost. Give me your grimoire, said Eliphas. What name used you to give to the spirit who appeared to you? I called him Adonai. And in what language was his signature? I do not know, but I suppose it was in Hebrew. There, said the professor of transcendental magic. After having traced 2 words in the Hebrew language in the beginning and at the end of the book, here are 2 words which the spirits of darkness will never counterfeit. Go in peace, sleep well, and no longer evoke spirits. The workman withdrew. A week later, he returned to see the man of science. You have restored to me hope and life, said he. My strength is partially returned. I am able with the signatures that you gave me to relieve sufferers, cast out devils, but him, I cannot see him again. And until I have seen him, I shall be sad to the day of my death. Formerly, he was always near me. He sometimes touched me, and he used to wake me up in the night to tell me all that I needed to know. Master, I beg of you, let me see him again. See whom? Adonai. Do you know who Adonai is? No, but I want to see him again. Adonai is invisible. I have seen him. He has no form. I have touched him. He is infinite. He is very nearly of my own height. The prophets say of him that the hem of his vestment, from the east to the west, sweeps the stars of the morning. He had a very clean surcoat and very white linen. The Holy Scripture says that one cannot see him and live. He had a kind and jovial face. But how did you proceed in order to obtain these apparitions? Why, I did everything that it tells you to do in the grimoire. What? Even the bloody sacrifice? Doubtless. Unhappy man, but who then was the victim? At this question, the workman had a slight trembling. He paled, and his glance became troubled. Master, you know better than I what it is, said he humbly in a low voice. Oh, it cost me a great deal to do it. Above all, the first time with a single blow of the magic knife to cut the throat of that innocent creature. One night I had just accomplished the funeral rites. I was seated in the circle on the interior threshold of my door, and the victim had just been consumed in a great fire of alder and cypress wood. All of a sudden, quite close to me, I dreamt, or rather I felt it pass. I heard in my ear a heart-rending wail. One would have said that it wept, and since that moment, I think that I am hearing it always. Eliphas had risen. He looked fixedly upon his interlocutor. Had he before him a dangerous madman, capable of renewing the atrocities of the Signor of Retz? And yet, the face of the man was gentle and honest. No, it was not possible. But then this victim, tell me clearly what it was. You suppose that I know already. Perhaps I do know, but I have reasons for wishing you to tell me. It was according to the magic ritual. A young goat of a year-old virgin and without defect. A real young he-goat? Doubtless. Understand that it was neither a child's toy nor a stuffed animal. Alephus breathed again. Good, thought he. This man is not a sorcerer worthy of the stake. He does not know that the abominable authors of the grimoire which they spoke of the virgin he-goat meant a little child. Well, said he to his consultant, give me some details about your visions. What you tell me interests me in the highest degree. The sorcerer, for one must call him so, the sorcerer, then told him of a series of strange facts of which two families had been witness. These facts were precisely identical with the phenomena of Mr. Home. Hands coming out of walls, movements of furniture, phosphorescent apparitions. One day the rash apprentice magician had dared to call up Astaroth, and had seen the apparition of a gigantic monster having the body of a hog, and the head borrowed from the skeleton of a colossal ox. But he told all that with an accent of truth, a certainty of having seen, which excluded every kind of doubt as to the good faith and the entire conviction of the narrator. Alephus, who is an epicure in magic, was delighted with this find. In the 19th century, a real sorcerer of the Middle Ages, a remarkably innocent and convinced sorcerer, a sorcerer who had seen Satan under the name of Adonai, Satan dressed like a respectable citizen, and Astaroth in his true diabolical form. What a supreme find for a museum! What a treasure for an archaeologist! My friend, said he to his new disciple, I'm going to help you to find what you say you have lost. Take my book, observe the prescriptions of the ritual, and come again to see me in a week. A week later he returned, but this time the workman declared that he had invented a life-saving machine of the greatest importance for the Navy. The machine is perfectly put together. It only lacks one thing. It will not work. There is a hidden defect in the machinery. What was that defect? The evil spirit alone could tell him. It is then absolutely necessary to evoke him.
Today, I'm performing surgery on Yuma and tropion surgery, a beautiful chow chow.
The finances in 2020.
I'm John Kitover with the John Kitover News Network.
Victoria Man is launching a write-in campaign for the 16th.
Go to johnforcongress.com. other with an irreproachable orthodoxy. I admit that I am not orthodox in your fashion. I perceive that clearly. But let us come to the miracles. You have then seen, touched, felt, tasted them become. You have then seen, touched, felt, tasted them. You have then seen, touched, felt, tasted them become, putting exaltation on one side. Please give me a thoroughly detailed and circumstantial account of the affair, and above all, evident proof of miracle. Am I indiscreet in asking you that? Not the least in the world, but which shall I choose? There are so many. I admit that I am not orthodox in your fashion. I perceive that clearly. But let us come to the miracles. You have then seen, touched, felt, tasted them become, putting exaltation on one side. Please, hence. Oh, certainly he possesses in a very remarkable degree the secrets of chiromancy. But merely inspecting my hand, he told me nearly the whole history of my life. He is quite capable of it. But did he enter into the smallest details? Sufficiently so to convince me of his extraordinary power. Did he tell you that you were once the vicar of Mont Louis in the Diocese of Tours? That you are the most zealous disciple of the ecstatic Eugene Vintros? And that your name is Chavot? Effect. But did he enter into the smallest details? Sufficiently so to convince me of his extraordinary power. Did he tell you that you were once the vicar of Mont Louis in the Diocese of Tours? That you are the most zealous disciple of the ecstatic Eugene Vintros? And that your name is Chavot? Perfect. But did he enter into the smallest details? Sufficiently so to convince me of his extraordinary power. Did he tell you that you were once the vicar of Mont Louis in the Diocese of Tours? That you are the most zealous disciple of the ecstatic Eugene Vintros? And that your name is Chavot? Perfect. But did he enter into the smallest details? Sufficiently so to convince me of his extraordinary power. Did he tell you that you were once the vicar of Mont Louis in the diocese of Tours? That you are the most zealous, the disciple of the ecstatic Eugene Vintros? And that your name is Chavot? Sir, and you will see the miracles permanently established there. Would you be so kind, sir, as to give me, first of all, some exact and conscientious details with regard to the miracles? Oh, as many as you like. And immediately the old priest began to recount things which the whole world would have found impossible, but which did not even turn an eyelash of the professor of transcendental magic. Sir, and you will see the miracles permanently established there. Would you be so kind, sir, as to give me, first of all, some exact and conscientious details with regard to the miracles? Oh, as many as you like. And immediately the old priest began to recount things which the whole world would have found impossible, but which did not even turn an eyelash of the professor of transcendental magic. Sir, and you will see established there. Would you be so kind, sir, as to give me, first of all, some exact and conscientious details with regard to the miracles? Oh, as many as you like. And immediately the old priest began to recount things which the whole world would have found impossible, but which did not even turn an eyelash of the professor of transcendental magic. Established there. Would you be so kind, sir, as to give me, first of all, some exact and conscientious details with regard to the miracles? Oh, as no fissure, nothing was seen to fall, and yet the noise of the fall of the drops multiplied. It became more rapid and more frequent, and the wine climbed from the bottom of the chalice towards the brim. When the chalice was full, it bore it slowly around so that all might see. Then the prophet dipped his lips into it, and all, one after the other, tasted the miraculous wine. It is in vain to search memory for any delicious taste which would give an idea of it. And what shall I tell you, added the Abbé Charveau, of those miracles of blood which astonish us every day?
multiplied. It became more rapid and more frequent, and the wine climbed from the bottom of the chalice towards the brim. When the chalice bottom of the chalice towards the create a video of candidate John Kitover running for U.S. Congress in the 16th District, a write-in candidate for U.S. Congress to defeat Darren LaHood. John Kitover, a write-in candidate for the 16th District, telling voters to write in John Kitover to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Go to johnforcongress.com.
Because, like, they were afraid of him. They were loving.
Okay, so let's watch this. We're going to do audio to text across multiple phones. It's going to be pretty interesting. This is like a quick way to do it without having to type. So watch this. John Kitover, write-in candidate for Illinois 16. Write-in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Do not vote for Darren LaHood. Go to johnforcongress.com. So it only worked for a few of them. We shall try again. Maybe 4 at a time. Go to johnforcongress.com on March 17th, 2026. Write in John Kitover to defeat Darren LaHood, to remove LaHood from Congress on March 17th, 2026. Write in John Kitover and go to johnforcongress.com. Write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to defeat Darren LaHood, to remove Darren LaHood from Congress on March 17th, 2026. Write in John Kitover on the ballot. Go to johnforcongress.com. Go to johnforcongress.com to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to remove once and for all Darren LaHood from Congress in Illinois 16. Write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Go to johnforcongress.com right now and write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Be sure to request a Republican ballot when voting. Write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to remove once and for all Darren LaHood from Congress. Be sure to request a Republican ballot and write in John Kitover. Go to johnforcongress.com right now to learn more. Okay, be interested to see how these turn out. Spelling isn't perfect.
I'm John Kitover. Good evening, this is JK.
Hi, beautiful. I would love to spoil you and take you to dinner.
Hi, beautiful. I'd love to spoil. Good evening. You're watching the John Kitover. Good evening. I'm John Kitover. I'm Kitover. I'm running as a write-in candidate for Congress in Illinois 16th District. It's time to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Our communities deserve a representative.
Running as a write-in candidate for Congress in Illinois 16th District on March 17th.
Good evening. This is a breaking news alert from the John Kitover News Network.
John Kitover on March 17, 2026 to defeat.
Write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 to remove and defeat Darren LaHood. To remove Darren LaHood from Congress, write in John Kitover on March 17th, 2026 and request a Republican ballot. On March 17th, 2026, be sure to request a Republican ballot and write in John Kitover to remove once and for all Darren LaHood from U.S. Congress. Go to johnforcongress.com and remember, on March 17th, 2026, be sure to request a Republican ballot and write in John Kitover to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Yeah, this dictation. I never used dictation, but holy shit, I've been writing stuff. It's so stupid. The dictation's pretty good. Okay, we're going to do one more round of these. Go to johnforcongress.com. On March 17th, 2026, be sure to write in John Kitover. Request a Republican ballot and write in John Kitover to remove Darren LaHood from Congress. Go to johnforcongress.com to learn more. Again, on March 17th, 2026, write in John Kitover on the ballot. Be sure to request a Republican and go to johnforcongress.com right now. Okay, that's it, everybody. That's the John Kitover podcast for the day. I hope you've enjoyed it. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and go to johnforcongress.com. Thanks, everybody.